is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our live information sections on Schneider Graduate Programs. My name is Jazz, currently Regional Employer Branding and University Relations Managers for Schneider Electric, East Asia and Japan. Today, I'm really happy to be the host for you throughout the entire sections today. So let me first walk through the agendas that we're going to be talking about in the next 1.5 hours. So we will be introducing to you a very detailed overview and then structures of the Schneider Graduate Programs. And then we also share a little bit on the selection process and some expert advice on how you can prepare for your applications. Then we'll move on to talk about the program timelines and applications for each of the countries that are currently open right now. And then last but not least, happy to address any questions that you might have in the Q&A part. Right. So without further ado, let me hand over to the first speaker for our section today. So please welcome John Un, Regional Talent and Learning Director, Schneider Electric, East Asia and Japan.
All right. Good evening. Hi, everyone. I'm John Un, and I'm very happy to be here with you to share and also attract you to the Schneider Graduate Program. A little bit about myself. Before I joined Schneider Electric, I worked in companies in the IT industry and in the fast-moving consumer goods industry, FMCG, with headquarters in Singapore as well as in the US. Now I'm working for Schneider Electric, a truly global company with leadership team that spread across Hong Kong, France, Paris, US, Boston, right? A truly global company. So my current role is in providing oversight for the talent management and learning strategy with the objectives of ensuring that we have a talent pool of ready successors and employees with future skills to grow the business in a sustainable manner. Right, once again, happy to be here in this live session. Before going into the details of the graduate program, please allow me to share the rationale for having this program in the first place. Right, it all starts with our purpose, as shown in the slides, to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources, bridging progress and sustainability for all. At Schneider, we call this Life is On. Right, in fulfilling this purpose, we see our mission in a very clear manner. To business partners, to our customers, we want to be your digital partner in sustainability and efficiency. Right, the main challenge of our generation is probably climate change, but there is some good news. We are the generation that came to know about it. We are the generation and probably the only generation that can change the trajectory of carbon emissions and therefore climate change. So we see that indeed the time is now, and there is a need to take sustainability to the next level. Right, to that end, we have made 6 long-term commitments as shown in the slides here. All right, these 6 commitments sought to deliver on UN Sustainable Development Goals for a better and sustainable future, and guide our sustainability strategy and drive our actions and impact on sustainability for business, planet, and people, covering all aspects of the environment, society, and governance. As we move to the next slide, you see that the linkage is clear. When you look at commitment number 5 previously, which is on people, we want to harness the power of all generations to invite them to join hands with us in this journey. And obviously, your generation who will become the leaders of the future plays a crucial part in this. So one of our strategic priorities is to support the acceleration of young talent with potential and with leadership ambition, so as to build a pipeline of future leaders within the organization. That's why we have this Schneider Graduate Program, and I'm inviting you to partner with us in this mission. So Graduate Program is not new to Schneider Electric. As an organization that constantly evolves to be relevant and to fulfill our purpose, we also have been evolving the program to better advance the needs of the organization. So since 2018 to 2020, we have hired more than 100 graduates under these programs across 10 countries in East Asia and Japan. Now for 2021, in alignment with our strategic ambition, we are now ready to take the program to the next level by providing more structure and consistency with a global naming convention, not just in this region, but globally. So now officially, we introduce you to the Schneider Graduate Program, or SGP in short, a 24-month program built with an acceleration intent, offering graduates such as yourself a strong start for a meaningful career with the most sustainable company in the world. So what comes with the new program structure? So I'm going to share with you the program structure using this 3-2-1-1 concept. It follows a 3-2-1-1 framework, visualization, where throughout the whole 24 months, you'll be enjoying these 4 areas. Number 1, 3 rotations to maximize your exposure to the different functions and business in Schneider, thereby fulfilling our purpose of learning from exposures, where you can actually gain the breadth of as much to learn about the business as possible within 24 months. Number 2, 2 years of mentoring for you to learn from one of our leaders to fulfill our purpose of learning from the experience of others. All right, and 1 cross-functional project where you can work across different countries to learn from being part of a community in a virtual manner. All right, and last but not least, 1 learning path to leverage and learn about the 5 critical skills for Schneider graduates, or SGPs, namely personal mastery, networking, influencing, digital, and agility. These will be put together based on a curated list of trainings from our global learning resources. Right, details about rotations and projects may vary by countries because, as you know, across the different 10 to 14 countries in East Asia, Japan, the culture is rich, and then we also need to localize some of the content. Right, so it depends on the local context, but the framework will be consistently applied wherever you're hired into the program in the East Asia and Japan region. Okay, besides learning exposure and accelerated career path, you'll also enjoy other benefits that we have to offer. So number 1, competitive salary. Of course, I cannot share how much we are going to offer, but our rewards philosophy ensure that we pay competitively for position as well as taking into account your potential. Right? Number 2, world-class benefits and recognition. So for example, our global family leave policy allows employees to take leaves to care for family members and provide fully paid leave for maternity, among others. We also recognize our employees based on our core values via an internal platform called Step Up Recognition System, which is a culture in Schneider now, and many other local benefits that you enjoy while becoming part of the program. Number 3, flexible working arrangements. Since 2021, we have enforced a global policy allowing more flexibility when it comes to work arrangement for employees. We call it hybrid working, and it allows our employees to have at least 2 days working from home per week in alignment with managers' needs. Number 4, our EVP, employee value proposition. We say great people make Schneider Electric a great company. We commit to provide an environment where our people find their work meaningful and they are included and empowered to make the most of their energy and resources. So, what are we looking for in you? Share these 6 characteristics or qualities that we would like to see in you, because we also receive many questions that you have submitted beforehand, and we also want to take this opportunity to answer some of the questions using these 6 characteristics. So what are we looking for? Number 1, these 6 qualities are agile, or some people call it agility. So the ability to adjust, pivot, and respond quickly according to changing circumstances, especially thriving in an ambiguous environment. We know we operate in a VUCA environment, which is really volatile and uncertain, right? So there's a need to be able to move quickly and read the situation and adjust accordingly. So if you're agile, you're the person that we're looking for. Number 2, resilience, being able to withstand and press on in the face of challenges. I think over the last 1 or 2 years, we have seen how the world has changed due to the pandemic, and the ability to just stand firm and then press on is very important. We won't be knocked down by all these circumstances. At Schneider, we move on, we are successful. Right. Number 3, curious, being open to learning and feedback, especially in as SGP, as you come onto the organization. It's important for you to embrace different knowledge, embrace different culture, embrace different way of working. Being open to learning and feedback is very important. Number 4, innovative. So always thinking about how to do things better in both small ways and big ways. All right. Some people think of innovation as doing big things, coming up with the next creation, next idea, but not necessarily so. But what we want is a mindset and the ability to keep thinking about how to do things better, how to improve things, right? So that's innovation. Number 5, confident. Having a persona that exudes certainty and being able to communicate in that manner, that's very important. Okay, and last but not least, collaborative. As you know, we work in this network environment. Things might be uncertain, things might be ambiguous, and you need to work with multiple people from different places around the world. Schneider is a global company, and the ability to collaborate, work well with others, building network, and think team is very important. Think team, all right? Vis-a-vis or against thinking about self. It's not about me, but it's about the company, it's about the environment, right? It's about sustainability. All right, so these 6 characteristics, being agile, resilient, curious, innovative, confident, and collaborative, are what will help you to excel as an SGP in Schneider. So having said all this, right, I think nothing beats sharing about some actual feedback or responses from the past SGP participants. And we also want to share some real life success stories. So on screen here, you see 2 of our ex-SGP with the company, but they have graduated from the program, right? So the most commonly cited benefits is actually exposure. Exposure is where the SGPs were given opportunities to rotate across different business units and able to connect with different leaders in the organization. And most of the SGPs told us that they appreciate the opportunity to try different things, work on different projects, assignments, and even engaging with different leaders in the organization. So they were given important projects while working on rotation. Then to be more specific, we have one SGP who joined us 5 years ago, and she's now leading 2 very important segments or industries as a key account manager for hospitals, for education institutes. And she's making, inroad into the education institution in Singapore as well, and also the hospitals as well. So I think she's really doing important work that contributes to the business of Schneider. And we also have another SGP. I mean, she's on the slide now, Dayang. So she's actually having a role in services team and are now actively involved in working our customers to enhance their business and to solve their problem. Right. We also have another one who joined and start up our NavyX, joined our startup called NavyX that was just launched. And so he's also having opportunity to not just be a part of Schneider, but joining a subsidiary that Schneider has started up. Right. We also have another one who was given an opportunity to take on a bigger job role in Korea. So he's also on slide, he's a veteran. Right. So I think these are many opportunities that we have seen and many real life case study where SGP having demonstrated the 6 qualities that we mentioned, they are able to excel and continue to grow in Schneider. So Schneider Graduate Program is not just a program in itself, it's actually part of our overall talent management strategy, where we invest time to actually discuss about the development plans of our SGPs on a regular basis. And at each stage of their careers, we provide the necessary exposure and learning opportunities to propel them to the next level through our exposure, experience, and education programs. Now that you have a better understanding about the program structure, what's in it for you, right? So I'll now hand over to the next speaker who will walk you through the selection process as well as how to prepare yourself. Right, with that, I'm happy to introduce Huisan, Regional Talent Acquisition Director for Schneider Electric East Asia, Japan.
All right. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Huisan. I lead the East Asia and Japan region's talent acquisition function. My team's purpose in the organization is to scout and hunt for great talents for Schneider Electric. Very extremely excited to be here today, connecting with every one of you. I was in the technology and startup space before I joined Schneider Electric. I started my career in a graduate program, more than 20 years ago, which is very much similar to our Schneider Graduate Program here we have shared with you. And I still could vaguely remember the limited amount of information I used to have that time, and how when I apply for a role and when we graduate, how nervous we are and anxious I was when we are being put through to the various levels of tests, intense interviews, not knowing what to expect back then during the whole entire recruitment process. Looking back, how I would have loved to have sessions like this one that we are having today to better prepare myself in my job applications after I graduate. So having said this, therefore, today's topic, which I'm going to share with every one of you here, is extremely close to my heart. That is to walk through with you our selection process for Schneider Graduate Program. And from my experience in talent acquisition, we will do our best to provide advice for you to better prepare yourself, not only for this program, but maybe for other positions that you are interested to in applying. All right, so let us begin. Let's start first with eligibility. So who can apply for our graduate program? Of course, you need to graduate with either a bachelor's or a master's degree. So on this point, I want to emphasize, we accept it as graduate if you go to master's degree right after your bachelor's degree without an interval of working experience. Working experience here depends on a country, on whether is it between 1 to 2 years. So it is also very dependent on the local context as well. We are looking for great, awesome talents who possess a strong interest in Schneider Electric's purpose and as well as our mission. If you are a talent who wants to excel in grow in a company whereby you are very much aligned in the purpose, we are the place that you can consider. We welcome you to apply if you are someone who is, like what John has mentioned, some of the attributes that we are looking for, ambitious to accelerate your career. If you see yourself as having that level of great learning agility, creativity, you have strong openness to experience, not afraid at all to take on new challenges, you will be the one that we are looking for. All right. So let us jump to the next slide, please. So how would our overall selection process be? The process will consist of 4 key stages. Firstly, it will be the online application. You will need to apply for the role directly on our careers website at se.com/career. Later on, I will show you guys the links and the QR codes to the respective countries for your action. At this stage, we will mostly review your ability to the program and also your resume. Some positions that we've advertised may require a very specific background or specific requirement on a fit. So please ensure you read the job description very carefully. So after our screening phase, you will be invited to our video interview round. In this round, we will give you a couple of questions and you will answer them via a platform which we are adopting. It's called Higher View in videos format. And we will allow you to practice and capture the video at your own pace as long as you submit the final videos within the deadline. We will then review the videos that you have submitted and select the best ones to be entered into the next steps. With regards to assessment, there will be two elements in this round: the assessment center as well as the gamified assessment. For the assessment center, it will give you an exposure to our recruiters as well as our hiring managers, where you will be solving real-life case studies that we will be giving to you and demonstrating yourself in a high time pressured environment. This can be virtually or in person, depending on the country that you are residing on. And the gamified assessment will be an exciting add-on which we are implementing in most of our countries starting this year, where you will be expected to perform a set of games that help us to know more about your personality, the key skills that you possess, competencies, agility, your focus, problem-solving abilities, etc. Then the best of the best will be selected to the final round of the interview. This is where you will be meeting the hiring managers directly or the head of business in terms of the head of department and exchange ideas further with them around your career aspiration and your interest in Schneider Electric. So essentially, these are the 4 standard stages that we have in our overall selection process. The sequence of it may change and vary depending on the country, but by and large, these will be the 4 elements that you will be going through. So let me just move on to share further deeper on how you can prepare yourself in each stage. So online application, what do you need to better prepare yourself on this? Check your eligibility again. Please ensure that you have a succinct resume, no more than 2 pages. Make your application error-free. When we say error-free, means the level of accuracy in terms of typo errors, please skip those, grammar mistakes, formatting, so on and so forth. Don't wait until the very last minute to send in your application, all right? Because this is to avoid any rushing of last minute, or maybe you have technical errors, issues that you may encounter. So that is very critical. And next stage would be, after the online application, how do you prepare yourself for the video interview? When you go into the Higher View platform, please ensure you read the instructions carefully. Know which is the space that you need to practice, where you are given the chance to practice how you're going to, demonstrate or communicate within the video, and which is the space for the actual video itself. Please be very aware and mindful, avoid the mixed up, because some of our experience on last year's students wasn't quite clear. So please make sure you read the instructions and be very clear on the 2 different spaces that you have. Plan your time well, maximize the given timing in your answer. Again, not too short, not too long answers, be succinct, summarize, and practice, practice, practice. Again, don't wait to the last minute. Practice, plan, and do a good one. All right? After your submissions on the video interview, now, how can you prepare for the assessment? So as I shared earlier, assessment, there will be 2 elements, right? Assessment centers and gamified. So understand the objectives and the requirements within each assessment center. There will be set up very clear objectives within it and the participants that you are expected to perform. So ensure that you listen and you understand these objectives carefully during the assessment center. Communication is very, very critical during the assessment centers. So be brave to speak up, be vocal to share your point of view, exchange ideas, share information. There are no questions that is wrong questions or silly questions, and no ideas are too small. So be brave to speak up and share and team. Have the right balance between the me and the us, right? Try not to oversell yourself, have the right level of balance, but also not to be too mellowed and blended. Having the right balance to showcase your work and your teaming and your collaboration spirit is very important for you to be able to demonstrate during the assessment center. Then, of course, do your homework on Schneider Electric, right? One of the attributes that John has shared earlier. Be curious. Be curious about us. Check us out anywhere, everywhere. You can expect the cases that is given to you in assessment centers to relate to Schneider Electric in some way or another and learn more about us. If you want to, go into our se.com website. There's whole lots of information for us to share. And as for the gamified assessment, I really need to prepare much, honestly, because bring yourself there, be yourself. But one or two pointers to notice: please ensure that you are in the right mind, clear-minded. Please don't do it at the end of the day while you're so tired and brain dead. So be the right state of mind when you're doing your gamified assessment. And make sure that you allocate proper space and time, that you will not be disturbed during the whole entire period when you are doing the gamified assessment. All right. Now, after the assessment centers, we will review everything, and then the shortlisted ones will be invited for the final interviews, of course. So during the final interviews, this will be a session, a platform for you to have intimate sessions with your hiring managers as well as the business leaders. In this session, we will be a lot more keen to know and find out more about you. So this will be a great platform for you to tell us what makes you you, what makes you uniquely you, reflecting upon yourself. What are the story that you can share with us that is unique to yourself and that makes you who you are and where you are today in your learning journey and before you graduate, before you step onto the society. Be prepared for behavioral interview questions. Do a little bit more research on this to understand what type of questions will be asked so that you can prepare and plan for them. Some of you may have heard the STAR model. So leverage on the STAR, STAR model. And one golden guidance here is to ensure you cover the situation, the task, make sure you have actions, and then the result or outcome in all the answers that you provide and you exchange with the hiring managers and the business leaders during the interview session. But of course, most importantly, right, I mean, this is an avenue for Schneider to get to know you and also for you to get to know us. So enjoy the interview rounds. Strive to have a good, meaningful conversation that not just benefits Schneider, benefits you as well. Discover, ask questions, get to know more about the hiring managers and the business that you are speaking with. Don't be too stressed out. Relax, have fun, be lighthearted, ask questions to the interviewers wherever is possible. Okay? Now, so let's go to the next slide. After hearing all these sharings, I hope every one of you are looking forward and excited to dive right in to apply for our program. So here you go. This is the timeline in the respective countries as the application link for the countries. It is important to note the application deadline here for each of the countries and ensure that you are not going to miss the deadline. There are some countries such as Malaysia, Vietnam, they may not appear here because they have already completed our rounds of Schneider Graduate Program recruitment for the year 2020. But you can still follow us in our channels to stay tuned for the next intake that is upcoming. All right. So with this, I shall hand the floor back to you, Jia, to take over.
All right. Thank you, Huisan. I
Thank
think
you.
that's a very interesting sharing from your end. And actually, I do have the same interest in graduate program like this when I graduate as well. And I think I quite relate to you that if we have such a similar sessions to attend like this in the past when we started our career, it's going to be much more useful. Because the info it's not just informative, right? It's just not about the program, but then the sharings on how we can best prepare. I think that's going to be very valuable. So now let's move to the Q&A. And for that, I also like to invite John back to the stage. Welcome back,
Hi.
John.
Hi,
All right.
John.
Hi.
Okay, so now for the Q&A, we
Mhm.
have actually had some questions that are being sent by the student in advance, and I will be asking them to either Ju or John at the same time. We also welcome questions live in the event as well. So student out there, if you are watching the live and you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat so that I will be able to facilitate and give them to John or Huisan for their answers. Okay. So now I think let's move to the questions that we have collected in advance. So the first questions that I have, maybe these questions will be for Huisan, and this relate to the eligibilities that we have shared, right? But I think it's good to reinforce again. So the question is that does Schneider Electric consider a master degree as equivalent to work experience?
Okay. I think that's a very great question because we always wanted to balance between what does work experience, master's degree does, how does it relate to, right? But what I wanted to share here is master's degree, having that, possessing that is definitely a great additional exposure that you could demonstrate to us. And I think we all think it would truly benefit you in terms of accelerating yourself, in terms of consideration into this program. But whether or not it considered a work experience, I don't know who asked this question and how this would relate. Do you have an interval in between? Because we do want to make sure that this is a graduate program as a whole, so the intervals of work experience, we hope that we can keep it within 1 to 2 years, and we definitely will take that into consideration, right, as part of your additional exposure and a quick accelerator across the board. John, please feel free to chime in if you think there are others
Nope. I think
pointers
you
that you.
answered very well. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Okay. I think the net takeaway is really just to ensure if you have any interval working experience in between, right? Because I think we share in the eligibilities that we do accept master degrees in case you are entering the master degree directly after your bachelor degrees. So I think
mm,
that's quite clear.
Yep.
Now I think the next questions actually next two questions more related to career path,
Mm-hmm.
and when talking about career path, definitely I will hand it over to you, Johns.
Sure.
So the question is that what are the most important things that you would be I know sorry this is not another so what are the possible career path for an SGP candidate, and when and how the landing roles for SGP after the program will be defined.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you for this question, and allow me to share more about the broader career philosophy in Schneider Electric. So it's not just about SGP, but the broader career philosophy. Where we strongly believe in career mobility in Schneider, and I always say that this is a strength of a career in Schneider: the ability to move around, the ability to explore different roles, and it's a culture here, right? I think in other organizations which I've been, it's not easy to move around due to the limited size of the organization or the policies. But in Schneider, it's totally different. You see people moving around on average between 2 to 3 years. So it provides a lot of exposure and experience as you try and piece together what you want to do within the organization. Right? So at the organization level, we have an award-winning open talent market or OTM, where employees are able to apply to jobs internally and across, the globe. Yeah, all jobs are posted on our OTM for internal applications. And as such, as an employee, you are able to define your career track, right? Decide what you want to do and move on to reach your destination role. And we offer both management and expert career path. If let's say this question is really about career path, right? The typical career path, whether it is going to become a manager, a people manager, or you can also become an expert, right? These are all available in Schneider. And if you are interested to become an expert, we also have an Edison Expert Certification Program at 3 levels, where you'll be recognized according to your level of expertise. So this is very valuable in Schneider as well, and I believe externally, right? So as for the question on the landing roles after the 24 months, we will decide before you start your rotation, in fact. And however, having said that, as I mentioned, we need to be agile. I mean, the environment may change. However, what we can say is that definitely we'll decide before the start of your rotation where your landing role will be. And we will also adjust depending on how you're tracking along the next rotation, right? By the first rotation is your landing role to give you the certainty, right? If not, then you know your landing role between 3 to 6 months of the completion of your 24 months assignment. Okay, so generally, yes, we'll decide before you start. And then, however, we are also mindful that sometimes along the way, you may demonstrate different potential, different strengths, different inclination, and we also want to play to your strength, right? So that's why it may adjust accordingly. Yeah, but by and large, it's definitely going to be your first station will be your landing role. All right.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, John. Maybe just a quick follow-up questions on that, just to clarify to the audience as well. And you have mentioned in your answer, but just want to emphasize. So we do have the flexibilities for the graduate in case along the way they are doing the rotations, if they have any changes in their interest, that can also reflect as a change in their landing growth, right?
That's right. That's right. So we will actually talk to the graduates along the way and be flexible as well. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm actually seeing that there's a couple of questions directly on the chat. So maybe let's jump in there a little bit before I go back to the list of questions that the student has sent in advance. So I see that there's actually 2 very interesting questions. Number one, do you have current graduate opportunities open for UK graduate? And number 2, do you have a virtual internship this year for students? So, Huisan, you want to take these questions?
Okay, so I would choose to think to answer the first question. Do we have a graduate program similar to our Schneider Graduate Program here in East Asia, Japan? As far as I know, we do have specifics within the UK because UK falls within our Europe region. So they would have plans. It may not be termed as Schneider Graduate Program in their specific context, but I do believe that we have something similar that is launched in Europe. So if you need to connect with us more, please feel free to reach out to us, and then we can share more details around it. So going back to the second question, was it around virtual internship?
Yeah.
Was the question, are we going to have virtual internship this year?
Yes, that's right.
It's a balance. I think maybe to bring us back to context, right? Virtual internship has never been in the space before the pandemic, and many companies, including Schneider Electric, see the goodness of leveraging on virtual internship starting 2020. And honestly speaking, I would hope that we can continue the virtual internship, and I think it's the company's intent for us to do so because it helps us to have much more leverage on talents across borders and not just within the specific territory. So for sure, it is in our agenda and in our intent to make sure that we continue on with virtual internships going forward. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Huisan. And another questions, and maybe this one is also for you because closely related to recruitment.
Hiring.
Right. So
Okay.
I have a question here. All right. I have a background in finance, not engineering, but strongly interested in this industry. Can I apply? Are there any positions for my profile?
Hold on. Strong experience in finance, but not in
Engineering.
which area?
Not in engineering. Yes.
Okay. But you have very strong interest in engineering to apply for engineering role.
I think she means
is that the
in
question?
our
To join
industry.
Schneider.
Yeah, to work Schneider.
Of course you can. Nothing's stopping you from applying for engineering. I think maybe I could share a little bit of experience. I am not a psychology or HR graduate myself personally, right? I started off with commercial with the business, and I evolved my career over the past decades to where I am now in terms of being so passionate about talent acquisition. So for this question, I would say as well, yes, you are finance focused, studies, but if you have strong interest and you demonstrated that passion, you've taken off and invested separate time of your own to really learn about engineering. And during the whole entire selection process, you have demonstrated that attributes that we are looking for. I don't see the reason why not. Having said this, I want to be encouraging as well. But having said this, we do have some very specialized engineering and technical roles which require you to really go deep into the engineering field. I think for those it may be a little bit challenging for you to apply into, but it all depends on what kind of a technical positions you are looking at. I hope I'm addressing this question, but it depends. But I would strongly encourage you to do so because you've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, I think that's great. We have more questions in the chat actually, and to be more interactive, I want to address them first, maybe one or two more before we move back to the list of questions that we have here. So I think there's actually questions related to rotation track, Johns. So can you share a little bit more details about the rotation, the 3-round rotations that you have mentioned?
Yeah, so the intent of the 3 rounds of rotation is really to provide as much exposure as possible. So that's where we are, depending on the function that you're joining. However, what we are saying is that you will spend 8 months in one business, and then after that move on to another functional area, or it could be another business, and then finally a third business. So it's not rotating within a business in itself. As you know, Schneider has got multiple businesses, right, having the same mission. But then what we want you to do is to be able to experience the different business across Schneider or different functions across Schneider as much as possible. So this is what defines the rotation tracks.
But are there any like standard formulas in terms of rotations that the HCP will be going through?
Okay, so I can cite one example because there are multiple possibilities, and then also, as I was sharing earlier, depending on the country, because certain countries, due to the size of the country, the rotations, number of rotations may not be as many as the other countries. So, for example, if let's say you are coming into the sales function, right? So, what happens is that you will first join the field services sales team, where you have the opportunity to interact with the customer on the ground, right? To get a sense of what does it like to work in Schneider, what does it like to interact with customer. I think that's very important because when you're able to appreciate that, as you grow in the organization, you can have better appreciation of how or what the sales people are doing on the ground. So having spent 8 months there, then what you'll do is that you move on to one function, a vertical function. For example, you can move into a business development function. Right, so in business development, what we do is that we collect a lot of customer or market intelligence. So you'll be participating in projects where you try and understand customer profile, try and understand, customer needs. Yeah, so then what you do is that you build up more understanding of who our customers are, what their needs are, what their pain points are, and then what are the strategies that we can put together to help them be successful. Right, and finally, as a last station, you may join our special business or a very targeted business. In Schneider, we call it secure power, which actually refers to the IT side of the business, right? So what you can do is actually when you join this business, that's where you get to understand what does it like to work in the IT side of the business. Not so much internal IT, but really our customers are the IT data centers outside of Schneider, right? So you go in there, you see the end-to-end of selling and then engaging, pitching to the customers in the IT industry, so to speak. Right. So all in all, as a result of these 24 months, what you gain is really a breadth of the business, and then that will help you a lot as you grow in the organizations in future, because you gain a better understanding of what it is like to be a salespeople on the ground. You get a better understanding of what are the customer pain points. You get a better understanding of what it's like to sell in the whole vertical business. Right. So that's a great learning.
Thank you, John. So if I may to recap, I think the key principle is that there's not going to be a fixed formulas, right? And it depends individuals by individuals and
Mhm.
country by countries as well, because the student were actually asking specifically for Korea,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's really hard as of now for us to really define what are the rotation track that will be happening in Korea. So I think the principle John has mentioned is that we're gonna be trying to provide a broad perspective into the business itself, maybe rotating via the key main areas that we have in the organization at the time. And for
Yeah.
sure, you will be communicating these informations prior to the rotations. That is
Yes.
definite.
Yeah.
And
So,
also
so I
maybe
also
what,
want to add,
yeah,
yeah, that it is actually an adventure. It's meant to be operating in the VUCA environment. So
mm,
we intentionally do not want to make it very, very structured, very, very
yes,
predictable. Just like you have gone through the university where you can, select the course that you want, which is actually quite predictable. But however, in the real business world, things are changing almost every other day. So it's not meant to be predictable. It's also meant to help you to be able to navigate through this organization as well, right?
yep,
So we want to simulate as real an environment as possible, rather than just giving you everything that is fixed and then you just got to go through stage by stage. So not like that. That's why when we share about the 6 qualities, one of them is actually agility. Yeah,
mm,
agility is very important. Being flexible, being able to navigate through, being comfortable with ambiguity. I think that will define how you're going to be successful,
yep.
in this SGP program and in
Mm.
Schneider.
Yeah, thank you, John. And yeah, and because we mentioned about the six qualities,
Yeah.
there actually a couple of questions on that as well, and allow me
Ah,
to share.
okay.
Um, so I think even though we have actually consolidated that into six areas of
Uh-huh.
attentions, for example, that we might be looking for, right, when you're
Mm.
hiring graduates, but when it comes to prioritizations, what's going to be the most important things that we are looking for in a graduate, right? And maybe the
Okay.
other side of the question is that what are some things that could make someone not a good fit for as an HEP candidate? This is a
Mm.
real life questions that have
Okay.
been submitted by the student
Okay.
themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So you want me to choose which is the most important of the 6?
Yes.
Oh, tough
I
question. Tough
think they are all
question.
equally
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want, to focus on one, right? I think demonstrating that you're agile, I think that's future skills.
Mm,
Okay, it's a kind of a future mindset, future skill that, although sounds easy. I mean, we talk about learning agility, we talk about leadership agility, we talk about business agility. I think the ability to evolve and, yeah, react and then respond quickly is so important, right? So if you're able to demonstrate that, I think that's really, I would say, a core skill that is important. Yeah, and the reverse is true. I think if, let's say, somebody come in with a mindset where, I want everything to be laid out for you, or for me, I think that would be quite challenging. I mean, not because there's something wrong with that, but because I think in this fast changing world, things are not fixed. Yeah, I think we all know things are not fixed anymore. I mean, we just went through this, pandemic, and things suddenly happen, and we need to really react quickly. If we, so for somebody who thrive or who appreciate more of the very structured environment where things move by time bound, like promotion is time bound, all this, then I think, it'll be very challenging for this person then.
yeah,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. Huisan, you want to build on any point?
I think John shared very great points around it. I don't want to overemphasize around being comfortable with ambiguity,
Mm,
but it's it's all about being ready and comfortable for the unknown, right? And if you are someone who is not comfortable and could not operate effectively in such kind of an environment, yes, like what John has mentioned, it may potentially be a challenge
yep.
for you. And to add on to those are attributes and traits and qualities, right? I think for us at Schneider Electric, we are also as early as recruiting Schneider Graduate Program into the program itself, finding that right level of culture fit into the culture that we have is equally important, right? On top of over all the six attributes that we are looking out for. So like John has already shared, the kind of company that we are, how our culture is, empowerment, inclusivity. We emphasize a lot around embracing differences, being taking your ideas to the next step, dare to disrupt. These are such qualities. So I rather focus on what we are looking for, because I remember you mentioned earlier, Jia, what are some of the things that will not be a good fit, right? So if it is the other side, then you will probably be not a good fit for an SGP candidate.
Yep.
So these are the qualities and the kind of fits that we will be looking for this cohort of intakes for this year.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
I see.
maybe one final point. I think this is a very passionate topic because I mean, I talk about this day in, day out as well, and I observe this happening. So I think just to focus back on the word agility. In fact, yesterday we just had a leadership session discussing about agile organization and leadership agility. So and demonstrated how important this skill set or mindset is, right? So I think in Schneider we are growing really fast. We need to be relevant. We need to be true to our mission of sustainability. And so what we are doing is actually doing a lot of experimentation. So agility is also being able to experiment. Sometimes we don't have to have the 100% complete picture of what we are doing before we venture out, right?
Yeah.
Or try out new ideas. So rapid prototyping, this is something that we do. We encourage people to try out things, experiment things. So having an experimentation mindset is very important. And that's really about agility. So don't have to have like 100% to the dots, to the process and everything is before we launch something. So we are always on the try, we try it out and then we modify very quickly. We modify, fail fast, and then we actually make changes and then we move on. So that's really how we do business these days and how we innovate. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Okay.
great. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think when talking about graduate programs, right, I
Yeah.
think it's really hiring for potentials, majority of the case, because we are not looking at experience. Maybe some cases we do look for majors and backgrounds, but majority of the case, I think it's gonna be more on potentials. So I think that's linked to one of the most interesting questions that I have received. How can I show my potentials in the interview with the hiring managers or with the department head, etc. Right. So, who you want to start first on these questions?
I could. Interesting question. How could you show your potential? I think it is our job as well at Schneider, right? You don't specifically show it. It's for us to detect and identify it throughout the whole entire rigorous selection process. But to address this again, I think some of the parts I've touched previously during my sharing earlier. For you to show your potential and how we see potential in a person, you need to speak up, to be ready to contribute throughout the whole entire selection process, be it the assessment centers or during the interviews, right? In a constructive as well as in a collaborative manner. So I would strongly encourage strike a balance. I don't think we are looking for someone who wants to, dyingly not having that balance, but you need to have that balance. Be your authentic self, be prepared, be the best version of yourself during the whole entire selection process. Trust that we will be able to see that potential and that fit into our organization. Yeah, I hope I answered this question because it's
No, I think that's great. But anything you want to build in, John?
Well, I think yeah, I mean Huisan has said it nicely. So really, it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate, the value that you can bring. So be very proactive. I would say be very proactive. During the assessment center, one thing that I would like to see is really about this person taking a proactive step to work together with others to come up with a proposal, and also being very confident in presenting your point across, being very clear, and being very collaborative. I think that's really what will differentiate you from the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. And maybe one last questions, and for this one, maybe I will be answering first, and then John and Husan, you can share later,
Sure.
because they're actually closer to my job.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, the question is that do we have any other opportunities outside of Schneider graduate programs in Schneider Electrics? Right. So be it like for entry levels or for people with experience, etc., or any virtual interactions that we may have, right? So I think my answers, I think I want to promote two things. So number one, definitely for people with experience, we are hiring. Yes, and we are looking for great talent to join our journeys towards sustainabilities, right? Aligning with the mission and the purpose that John has shared at the beginning.
Mm.
So definitely you can check our career site, se.com-careers, to learn more about the opportunities that we are offering right now. Right. And then for students or for graduates, we might have something very interesting for you. And this is coming very shortly in May as well, that we call Global Virtual Student Experience. That's going to be something to put you in the real life experience via some projects in a particular track, whether in services or in sales with Schneider Electric. So you could have the opportunity to participate in some of our real life business activities, getting feedback from SE great people, and also at the same time hone your skills to be prepared for future opportunity with us, be it like internship or graduate programs. So those are the two things that I can give for these questions. Any further point to add, Husan or John?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the internships, but you've touched on it. I think in addition or a prelude to our SGPs, I think some of you may have also experienced our outreach to a lot of your universities already. Having secured an internship, having that preview and experience prior to you graduating with Schneider, as in experience with Schneider, I think that would be something that offers a good platform for you to consider and assess. You know, how would be our culture, how would be our environment, how would be the people and the leaders are. But on top of it, maybe this is not on the SGP because I wanted to share a little bit about not just within SGP itself, but also anyone whom we hired into the organization. I think we are an organization who promotes growth and development. Whether you are in this program, whether you are normal hiring into an actual position itself, we have platforms around our whole entire global organization, which is called Open Talent Market. John has mentioned earlier. It is an awesome platform for anyone who are keen for growth and development outside of your core portfolio. For example, you are an engineering student or you're a finance student, you've joined here and you're a finance analyst, but you're keen on an engineering project in another division within Schneider Electric. Oh, by all means, go ahead to take on that 6 months project within the Open Talent Market platform that we have internally and get yourself exposed into engineering. And from there, you could chart out your career into the next phase and you evolve as you grow within the organization. So this is something which I really would love to share with every one
Mm,
of you, that we see as a very powerful platform for us to grow, develop, and retain our key talents in the
yep.
organization. Yeah.
Mm, yep. That's great. That's great. Um, I think there's also another question, and maybe this is the last question coming right into the chat, because of our bandwidth of the event. So maybe we can try to address these final questions before we close, because I also think that that's going to be a very interesting one as well. So the questions goes like this. I want to continue some of my study, for example, master degree, right? Do I have any chance to continue my study after HGP program? Is there any certain requirements for me to do so at Schneider Electric? So I think the question is more that why I will working at Schneider Electric, can I have any chance to still continue my study? For example, master or MBA, etc.
Okay, maybe I can take this question.
Yeah.
So we do have our students who join us as SGP, and then after they join us, they continue to do their masters on a part-time basis, right? So it's possible. So I want to clarify one thing about this SGP. Although it's a rotation program, but you're joining us as a permanent employee, right? So you're joining us as if you are just one of us. So we are not differentiating you as just coming in to go through a 2 years program. No, it's not like a university plus plus, but you're joining us just like any other employees. And so with that, you are also contributing to real life projects, right? So when you put you out there to be in the field services, you are really doing real job. When you are actually in our business development team, for example, you're also doing real stuff, right? Or maybe you join finance, you're also really doing the accounting work for Schneider. So it's a full-time job, right? However, having said that, as with all other employees, if you would like to enrich yourself, upskill yourself along the way, feel free to do so. So we do have this SGP that I cited just now, and she was really, really hardworking because other than doing what she's doing, she also wanted to learn new things so that she can grow in the organization. So on her own, she went to take a master's degree with her previous university, and then she managed to graduate, within 2 years doing it part time. So she really spent her weekend and then night time going back to the university to study. So I think these are really great resilient skill as well that we are looking for, right? So yeah, feel free to enrich yourself. Yep, anytime you want.
Yep. Yep. Great. Thanks for the answer, John. And I think that's addressed directly to the
Yeah.
questions that are being asked. Yeah. So I think that's very awesome. And as I mentioned, our event has quite a limited bandwidth. So unfortunately, we have to stop here, right? But then we're going to try to review all the comments or the questions that are being asked on the chat to ensure that we can address your questions or your comments right after the sessions, right? So please rest assured that you're going to be being heard, and we're going to be trying our best to address the inquiries. So with that, I will flash up again this very important slide because some of the questions were actually coming for this slide as well. So how can I apply, and which are the countries that are having the positions that I can apply to? So we have here the slide where as you can scan the QR code. And yeah, as Huisan mentioned, please pay attention to the application deadline because some of the countries are very close to the application deadline already. For example, Thailand, which is closed on the 30th of April, right? So take your time, but then try the best to submit as soon as possible for the online applications for the countries that you are in. All right. So with that, I would like to close our live information section today. Thanks a lot for your participation, John and Huisan. I really love the conversation with you and enjoy all the insight that you've been sharing. And I trust that the audience also benefit from your sharing as well. And also thanks every one of you who are watching the live and then staying until this very end because of your engagement. I think it make a very fruitful session out of it. So we do looking forward to seeing some of you in the next selection process that we have, and then potentially as one of our SGP as well. So wishing everyone a happy evening and then happy weekend. See you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Everyone. Bye bye.